Welcome back to the Elle-Sera podcast, and today's guest is Jordan Lansdown. She is the founder, CEO, all-round fabulous entrepreneur from JLUX. So we're going to get into what that is and how she started the business. Thanks, Jordan.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
It's just so nice to actually meet you in person, because I've met you briefly once before. I've heard you pitch, and that was when you were pitching for some investment for your business. And that's kind of when it first came on my radar. And I was like, wow, what an impressive young woman. I was like, wow, what you've managed to do with like no marketing budget, no experience, no funding, like nothing. And you've created a brand that's turning over significant revenue. You've built an amazing community. And I was like, wow. And you are 26 years old. And I just remember what I was doing at 26. I was like, honestly, wow, I can't believe it. I was doing a freaking show called Desperate Housewives. That's what I was doing. But anyway, so tell me about your entrepreneurial journey. Where did it begin? How did you start JLUX?
So JLUX started because I struggled to find activewear as a plus size curvaceous girly. And for me, the biggest thing was like the fitting of how things fit, especially sports bras. I was getting into my running journey. I've always been in the gym since a young age, into sports, into fitness. I played netball and I played football and hockey at school, which were massive. I went on and did hockey for county for a bit as well, which I absolutely love. So I've always been in the world of like fitness, but I've always been, I would say, slightly bigger than everyone else, especially throughout like my childhood, and that came up quite a lot for me. So then when it came to kind of transitioning, I suppose after like my school years, because I didn't go to uni or anything, it was a big thing around, I went to the gym, which was great, but when I started running, I really started to find like I couldn't find any sportswear, especially for my boobs. Like, that was what it was. And something that matched was just like, didn't happen. And I couldn't understand why I couldn't find a pair of leggings and a sports bra that matched, that looked nice. All of my friends were in Gymshark seamless sets, right? Looked incredible. Could I fit into one of them? One, no. My boobs were flying everywhere. And did it look nice on me? Absolutely not. Like, I feel like after a size extra large, like the actual fitting ratio just didn't fit. And so I started the brand because of that. And I felt like there wasn't a true representation of real bodies, real women in any sort of activewear brand at that time. It was all about, you know, how strong you could be, how fit you could get. But what about just starting? Like the people that are just starting, you've got to inspire to something. I get that. And I think we all do. But what about like helping the people that want to get there, that perhaps don't know how, and then providing them clothing that works for them and makes them feel amazing?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, and this was at 21?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So then tell me how, obviously people write down ideas and they have like a bit of a seed of idea, but actually going through with it, because I know what that feels like to start a brand, and you go, probably talk to your mum and dad and go, I've had an idea. I tell you what, I would like want to invent this. If I could do it, I would want to do it. And then who was around you at that time? Were they encouraging you? And
absolutely not. Everyone except my mum told me, and my now husband told me not to do it. They said it was a completely saturated industry, that I would never break through, that I was silly for even trying. So I would say that was probably one of the biggest things. And I had to fight through that kind of opinion. Everyone else wants to stick their opinion in. And whenever I speak to like another founder that's just starting, I'm always say, don't tell anyone until you're like a year in, or you've at least got over like the first hurdles of finding manufacturers or anything, depending on what type of business it is. So for me, the first process was finding manufacturers. I knew nothing about how to create clothing. I did textiles at school. That's about it. So yeah, I can sew on a sewing machine, but that's literally about it. And I tell you now, it did come in use. But yeah, I had no experience in this sector. So initially thinking about brand and a name, all I knew was that I wanted to have some sort of something from me, like in the brand name, which is why there's the J, obviously. And then when I thought about how I wanted the garments to make people feel, it was like the luxe. So you felt like you like luxury and you felt good in it. And then, so that was kind of where the brand name, I guess, stemmed from. And I didn't put any much more thought into it other than remember being at my mum's, sat in her garden, and it was around, I'm not sure when it was actually. It must have been around like March to April time. It was quite early on in the year. And that was when I was thinking about it. In the background, I started building from the February, like how did I even start get a product? How did I even get it made? Where were the manufacturers? So that was like I think it was about 8 to 9 months I spent.
With like doing R&D on like testing the products, looking at the fabrics.
Exactly that. So initially it was like first samples, fabrics, colours. I didn't know anything like about like testing requirements and all that kind of stuff, which goes into like bringing a product to life now. It was all about, did the fabric fit? Was it good? Was it buttery soft? Because that's what I wanted it to feel like. I had this one pair of leggings that I really liked the fabric of, but the fit was really poor. So I was like, if it feels like that, amazing. One, that they didn't roll down. And two, then obviously the big part of it was the sports bra. So it needed to be a supportive enough fabric that could ultimately hold my boobs when I was running. So yeah, that was where it kind of started.
I mean, like, did your manufacturers take you seriously when you were like, oh, hi? And then the thing is, it's like, oh, well, you've got minimum order quantities and things you just don't even think about. I mean, if I was to start a new brand now, I would do all the things right, all the steps right, because I did none of these right. I was just like, yeah, that'll do for a name. Yeah, brilliant. Didn't trademark it. Obviously, that came back to bite me on the ass. And just a bit of a nightmare. So did you go through any of those motions? Did you trademark it? Did you look for the Instagram handles?
I did trademark. So initially we were JLUX Fit. So I've trademarked JLUX Fit and now we've just got JLUX as well.
Right.
So we've changed from JLUX Fit to just JLUX, mainly because everyone calls it JLUX and not JLUX Fit. The fit element was like the fitting of the garment, and it also stemmed the fact that we were obviously doing active. So yeah, we still own JLUX Fit, but we've also trademarked JLUX now, which is great. So I did trademark early on. With regards to manufacturers, absolutely not. Like, I don't think they could have taken me seriously. Although I did look at like what I should ask on Google prior to like reaching out to them. So minimum order quantities. Although when they were like, it's 100 pieces, I was like, 100 pieces? I don't need 100 pieces. And I was like, that's so much. At the time, obviously. And I couldn't really believe that they wanted me to buy 100, because that was 100 leggings and 100 sports bras.
But you could do different sizes, couldn't you? Small, medium, large, extra large, 2XL, whatever.
But initially it just started as a hobby. So I didn't, I always knew what I wanted it to be. But I think the thought of spending, I think that was like £4,300 at the time for that amount of product, maybe a little bit more. That was just the product, not the shipping. And I went to my nan and I was like, Nan, I need to borrow this money. Would that be okay? Like, can you lend me this money? And she did. And that was what I bought. I bought 2 colours. So I actually bought 400 pieces in total, I think it was. No, that wouldn't be right. No, I did 200 pieces. Right. So in two different colourways, basically.
Okay. So bras and pants. Leggings, yeah. Okay. And you're off.
And that was it. Yeah. I was like, right, they're coming. Obviously I sampled lots of different fabrics before we found that fabric. We sampled different ways for the bra to be, strap types and elastic and things. That was quite a big thing, was like ensuring that the bra was supportive, so it took longer than the leggings. The leggings were actually quite easy to do. I think I approved after like second sample. Yeah. But I didn't even, like, now we do like 7 samples on some products, sometimes even more depending on what product it is. I mean, there's one thing that we're literally in like 10 rounds of samples at the moment because it just can't get it like completely right. And I'm terrible for like, if it's not perfect, I'm not bringing it out. So yeah, that's kind of how it was.
And so you get this money from your nan, and then what? Get a Shopify page, and you're like building it yourself. Get the theme and making it different. Yeah, I know how that feels as well. But listen, you've got to do these things in the beginning to get the ball rolling. And actually, I still believe in doing that now. I think people overspend in so many different areas. What was it like? Like, how'd you get your first sale?
I still do all of that now, by the way. Like the website, I literally do.
I wish I could.
I'm well into that. I actually really enjoy that process. But yeah, it was Shopify. No, the first website was on Squarespace. Then I went to Wix after I did like a couple of I'm all for learning. Like I do loads of like maths classes on different areas. And this girl was like, get a Wix website. It's amazing. And I was like, yeah, Squarespace. It's annoying me. I can't do this, this, and this. And then went over to Wix and that was just as terrible. And then someone else was like, you need to get Shopify. And I was like, great. So I did that. And, but I definitely agree in the fact of like, save costs where you can. I spoke to someone the other day and they spent 25 grand on a website. And I said, what for? I mean, what's the difference between your website and my website right now? Yes, probably there's loads of back-end things that are absolutely amazing. But in your startup stage, you can save so many costs by like
300 quid, I think ours cost in the beginning. I can tell you now that my current website is not far off 25 grand. and I am like, how is it this much? Because I'm literally not seeing anything that's worth that money. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, I don't know if they're going to get the final bill, to be honest, because I'm like, this has not been done. Do you know what I mean? Oh my God, it's so stressful. I wish I'd never bothered redesigning it. I wish I'd not bothered, but I'm already in now.
You're in there now.
Yeah. So, but you live and learn. I seem to be living and learning a lot these days still. So having said that, what's been some of your like big live and learn moments?
Manufacturers, probably the biggest thing. Obviously, I did not come from a background of manufacturing product. And I remember listening to another girl talk about the issues that she had with manufacturing. And I thought, oh, that'll never happen to me. I know that now. And I was just completely wrong. Like I've had faulty products. I've had product not turn up. I've been done for that. I mean, thousands and thousands. My whole autumn winter collection of 2023 never turned up. I'm still fighting that battle now. So, and that was a lot of money. And I had to somehow get product in 10 minutes just to be able to fill a gap and keep the business running. The business nearly like collapsed because of that. And that was probably the hardest thing for me because I just didn't understand how people could do that to like small business owners. So
you'd ordered all the product from your manufacturer, regular manufacturer that you've always been using, and then they're just like, they've probably taken the order, taken the money, but probably got so many orders on that they just can't fulfill it.
No, so this was a new manufacturer that had come about because we were doing a completely different product. So you've got to I was like looking at spreading the risk across different manufacturers, which I highly recommend doing because once you start to grow, if you put all your product in one particular place and one's delayed, then that's all delayed. That's all your product. But this is
advice I should have taken myself like 3 months ago.
Yeah, that's advice that I should have taken from the girl that told me. You know. But we never listened because it's so much easier just to place it with one manufacturer. It's one lot of like. All the bits that you go through, the testing and everything else.
Yeah, the due diligence on the company and everything. For me, audits. Well, exactly, yeah. So you want to make sure that their manufacturing practices are up to scratch. You want to actually go and see the facility, make sure that they're running it right, whatever, the staff are happy. All that is important to the end product for me as well. And yeah, they're like, yeah, sorry, it's 3 months late. I'm like, no, you've nearly put us out of business. So yeah, it's like hard. It's tense. It's literally... People don't understand. They're like, I live in a constant state of anxiety, like constant state of it at the moment.
I wake up in the night literally feeling sick and throwing up because I'm so stressed about whether or not the product's going to arrive on time. And quite often it's like it's on its way and we've had to launch because I actually don't have a choice. And
so do you do like a pre-sale,
pre-order? We'll do a pre-sale. Like if we hadn't have got brought stuff in by pre-sale, like it would be terrible for us. So I've done that and it's worked really well, luckily, because of our loyal following and they believe in me. They know that the product, once they get it, is amazing. I mean, someone messaged me yesterday from, I think it was our third drop, and they were like, do you have any more of these leggings? This is like 3.5 years ago. And I was like, what leggings are they? And I remember, she sent me a picture and I thought, God, they were from years ago. She was like, I know, they're literally in great condition, but I was cooking in the kitchen the other day and I actually caught my jacket on fire and I was like, God, and then it burnt my leggings and I really want another pair. And I was like, I'm really sorry, but we don't have those anymore. But she was like, they're such good quality. They've lasted this long. And And that's the trust that we've built in, or I've built in the community that follow us and believe in the journey. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that I will say is nobody knows what you're going through until you, one, openly speak about it. A lot of our customers and community, they didn't know, but I do openly speak about things now. And I think that makes them relate and really understand what we're going through. And then they want to be able to support you. So for us, if I didn't have the community behind me when I was going through that process with the factory, for example, I don't think I would have been able to get through it. And that is the thing that keeps me going.
Yeah, I am a big believer in that, actually. We definitely do that. Whenever I'm having, everybody knows how much I hate Royal Mail, and every opportunity I mention it. So they lost so much of our stock over like 1 year. And I was like, it literally accounted to like £100,000 worth of like RRP stock. And I was like, you just don't care. And they offered me $2,000 in return. I was like, are you for real? But honestly, I didn't have the energy, time or money to keep fighting it. And I was just like, I hate them. Anyway, we bring our community in on a lot of the problems. It's usually around shipping, but it makes us look useless, you know? And yes, we do find other solutions. And yes, we have moved over to other people, but oh my God, honestly, it is hard. So tell me how important, well, I know how important it is, but every brand wants to build community, but they can't. So how have you made a success of it?
I didn't have a choice. Yeah. I had no marketing budget whatsoever. I'd spent my $4,000 on my stock and I needed to sell the product. And the biggest thing for me was solving my own problem, right? And I knew that I wasn't the only person having this problem. One, because I was asking people on Facebook groups prior to even starting JLUX. I did a bit of market research. I actually read a book, which is, I think it's called 0 to a Million in a Year or something. A really great book about starting a brand. And I read that. And prior to launching, I did a lot of research on Facebook as to what problems other people were having. And a lot of people were having similar problems to me. And all I needed to do was to find those people. And how could I find those people? And what could I do to kind of get to them, I suppose? So for me, it was about sharing the problems that I was having. And for 6 months, I actually didn't want to get in front of the camera. I had severe anxiety about anyone knowing that JLUX was my brand, because of I've actually got a couple of like health conditions, and I had really bad anxiety at the time from something called Graves' disease, which I've had for a long time now. And now it's under control. All of my medication is normal and I don't have that anymore. But at the time, I literally didn't want to go out the house. And so let alone the thought of talking to people about the problems that I was struggling with. But I had to do it. And as soon as I did that, that was when it changed. I had to stop thinking about what everyone thought of me that knew me and start thinking about the impacts that I could have on the people that didn't know me and now know me, you know, because now everyone that does know me, they love it. Yeah. It's great. You know, they know that I'm getting my camera out every 5 minutes and filming, and there's no real judgment on that, but the judgment is all from yourself. It's only you that's judging you. And so I really had to build a community around the problem that we were solving at JLUX, but also because the representation in this industry is terrible for especially for curvy women generally and real bodies. And I knew what I wanted to do, and I was going to be the only way that was going to be an impact is to share my story without a spend, you know, because I had no one else doing it for me.
No, I get it. Apologies for interrupting this podcast, but I need to ask a favour. If you're enjoying this podcast so far, then please hit that subscribe button right now. I'll be straight up and honest that I want to see this podcast grow and flourish into something that I'm really proud of. And the only way that I can do that is with your help. So if you've ever learned anything useful from these conversations, then please return the favour by liking, rating, subscribing, and maybe even sharing it with your friends. Thanks very much. Let's get back to the episode. So you start with like an Instagram page, which is JLUX. how are you getting a follower? Did you start saying, can everyone follow my page? Yeah. So from your page, did you have a good following to begin with? No.
No, I still don't really have that much of a following, to be honest. I got a bigger following on TikTok, actually, over Instagram. Literally that, sharing it again. Facebook groups are an untapped market.
Correct.
Like such an untapped market. So I would say Facebook groups, don't look at them.
I would say Mumsnet is also an untapped market.
Yeah, absolutely.
I always ask this of founders, right? Because I know loads of them who start a brand. They don't touch product. They're just the numbers and they just throw money at a situation. I'm like, that's not marketing, that's spending. What you're doing is spending. That's not marketing. So how would you get a customer with you haven't got to spend, so how are you now going to get a customer? And I always say things like stunts, offline activations, groups that you can go in, actually talk to your customers, bring them into community. Anything you can do is free. My other one is talk to people or comment on other people's pictures. So if they're wearing like some gym kit or something, they'd be like, oh, that's really amazing, but have you seen it or whatever? I don't know. But I would love to do that exercise of no spend for 1 month and to get customers.
Exactly. And that was exactly what we did. And what you described was what I did. I used to comment on loads of people's stuff. I used to message them and I used to like tell them about the brand. And that was the only way that I was really getting to them. Luckily, like I had quite a few people that I knew in the kind of fitness industry. I got to influencers very early on. So that was kind of a little bit of my background. So I was like, I knew I just needed to get it to people who would rave about it. But the first thing that I did wrong was getting it to the wrong people that didn't rave about it because they didn't love it, because they didn't have the same problem that I had.
Right.
And when I realized that, I think the biggest misconception with influencer marketing in general is that you could get it on the biggest person with the biggest following ever, and you're going to get hundreds and thousands of sales. That is like, for me, probably one of the biggest misconceptions about influencer marketing. You're only going to get sales if someone loves that product that's sharing it, and they're truly sharing it because they love it. And off the back of that, it's completely authentic. It's an authentic marketing. So before, when I was sending it to people that didn't have, problems that I had, and it wasn't solving the same problem that for them that it needed to solve for me, it was just another thing that they tried on and probably put to the back of their wardrobe because they didn't really care about it that much. It was the next Gymshark fit or whatever, because they're a lot bigger than us. So I needed to hit the people that have the problems. And I think influencer marketing is a great way to do that. And it's an incredible opportunity, but find the people that are going to want to work with you because they love your product or service. And then off the back of that, want to use it, like actually use it. So for us, when we actually work with an influencer, we go through like a lot of testing prior to even outreach them. We will look at their account for about a period of 4 to 6 weeks before, before
That's
we outreach
my next question,
them.
actually. Yeah. So how do you pick your influencers, and then kind of how do you think, because sometimes it can be a risky bet. You're like, okay, we're going to go in, especially if they want a lot of money. So you've got to make sure there's a return on spend. And this is also what kind of annoys me about influencers. If they don't understand business, if they don't understand that they are a business and actually somebody's investing in you, let's just for argument's sake, £1,000, make it easy maths. You're going to need minimum £1,000 to break even, so then you can equate it to this many products. And if they're, I would actually say to them, this is our expectation. This is we don't just want followers, we want, conversions. So yeah, tell me about your process for picking an influencer.
It's changed massively, but now it's very the same for everything that we do. We actually we only ever work with someone if they accept gifted first most of the time, because truly they believe in the product, they believe in the brand, and we want them to try it out, but before they promote the product anyway. So a lot of our influencers start as gifted, and it's normally because we won't approach them unless they have the same problem that I did, or they align with the brand and the vision that we're trying to achieve, which ultimately is helping women feel confident, right? So, and a lot of the amazing women that work with JLUX, they really align with me, align with the values of the brand, and their page might not be about that, but they share similar problems. So we know that when they get the product, they're going to love it, and they're going to love the amount of passion that's gone into creating the product. But a lot of the time, to get to the kind of nitty gritty, is we'll look at their account. We'll see, one, is the engagement real? There is so many influencers where engagement isn't real. And I think if you are a small business or even a big business that has grown a lot through paid but hasn't done anything organically or in the influencer world, check engagement and check that it's real followers.
Yeah. Do you request that from them themselves? Do you look for do you request their insights?
We do, but most of the time we already know that, because we would have looked at their account for the last 4 to 6 weeks, and we will know who's liking their stuff. We'll know if they're in follower groups, because we'll see that continuously happening on all of their posts. The same people are liking, sharing, commenting, irrelevant stuff most of the time. It's not actually true engagement that are normal. Not saying they are normal. It's just not a customer that follows them because they want to know about their life or products. So I think really understanding that, they could have 1,000 comments, but that could be 1,000 people that are kind of paid to do that.
Yeah.
And for a small business, that can be, if you're spending £1,000 and it's just a load of other people.
And sometimes it's like, we're saying £1,000. Sometimes it can be £15,000.
Exactly.
For a reel, you know? And
it's crazy.
And if it's not going to hit the mark, and again, what's the price point? You know what I mean? What's the sweet? And you've got to look at the demographic of followers who are following them, because they might have 3 million followers. There might be some Love Island star, but are the people who are following them going to be able to afford that Chanel handbag? No. So maybe they're not the right person for you. So followers is the worst number to look at. So that's great advice. So engagement.
We never look at followers. Yeah. Engagement is the biggest thing. And actually the content, because one, if we don't get the reaction from the followers or the community that they've built, can we reuse their content? Is it good? So then we can reuse it on our page. So if they're a good content creator, then that's a bonus, especially a storyteller. Because the content that works really well for us is the why, how they use it, and then the review of the product. We don't just want someone, like for us, the kind of aesthetic-based content doesn't work as well. So we want someone that can really show our product in its best light. So it's looking at all those. So I would always have a backup. One, great, they've got a good community. The engagement is great. They look like they're going to be a great person for you. Then two, can they create good content? Because if it doesn't go that well, can you ultimately use it? But story views is the biggest thing for us. Right. Story views, link clicks on stories. You can really tell the engagement of someone through their stories, because people buy through stories most of the time. They don't buy through reels. Actually, we don't pay for reels. We just ask people to do stories.
Wow, really?
And then we ask them to share that content. It's so much more authentic. When you watch someone's story on Instagram, it's more their day-to-day life, isn't it? It's not a polished version of it, or sometimes it is, but a lot of people do stories like day to day, what they're up to, and that's where the consumer buys. They buy from that recommendation on stories. So from a data perspective, we will always look at story views, story engagement, clicks, and that will be the biggest thing.
Yeah, that's so important. Yeah, I'm always like that. Well, it's good to have good followers and stuff like that. I'm like, engagement's looking down. We need to actually ramp up engagement. And now I look at so many different things. The save button, how many people have saved it? How many people have sent it on? You know what I mean? And then we go through like a bit of a SWOT analysis of what I'm putting out there. But yeah, it's so difficult. I mean, what does your day-to-day look like as a founder?
Wow.
I'm hoping you're going to make me feel better here.
It changes very much. Every day, early morning, it's always supplier talks, like supplier communication. Is the big
10 messages from China as they open my eyes usually. We don't even order anything from China.
Story of my life, that is like the supplier messages is always like the first thing that I will do in the day. And then be active normally, like run or go to the gym or whatever I'm doing that day, unless I'm playing netball in the evening, and then I probably won't bother running in the morning. And then it's a case going to the office, getting what I need to get done. But a lot of that is managing the team, speaking to suppliers, and then I'll start looking at the end of the day. Normally, it's like my design time. So if I've got any design work that I need to get done, and from that perspective, that's generally like email design, website design, product design. Although we've got a designer, everything still comes from me in like the get-go. But my prime time for like that creative space is always evening. I don't know why. I think because I ran JLUX whilst working full time, I would always do the JLUX work in the evening. And so I was most creative then. And I still find that time now. That's my real creative space. So generally that's generally when I spend my time doing those types of things. And a whole lot of everything else, really. Well, I feel like every day is different, but every day is very similar at the same time.
I just feel like I freaking just pay invoices all the time. Every day. Another invoice. What's this for? FedEx, right? Nothing's on direct debit, it seems. I'm just like, honestly, I just pay invoices all day. Then I might have a chat with my accountant. Then I'm like, right, let's look at stock levels and this, that, and the other, and plan some social media content. But I've actually got to learn the social media content before I do it. So we do a lot of educational infographics. So I've actually got to deep dive into a book before I can even regurgitate it back into distill. So like 1,000 hours of learning will be distilled down into like a couple of Instagram posts, you know what I mean? And I feel like that's the benefit of the service that we give as well. You know, because when people say it's a bit expensive, that product, isn't it? And I'm like, with £50 a month, you're also getting hours of my learning on top of that you can have free of charge, but you can't put a price on, in my opinion. But
absolutely not. And I think that's the things that people don't realise that you do. Like for me at the moment, a lot of my time is around planning for next year. Like the products, the stock that we need to fulfil our targets, and merchandising and spreading risk, and the risk spreading, supply spreading, auditing all the factories, meeting the suppliers, planning the trips that we need to go on, and then looking at actually what product are we going to put with what supplier? Because it's not about price point for us. It's about the quality of the product. So it's ensuring that we're sampling different product, all of the same products pretty much in all the different factories, so that we can ascertain which is going to be the best place to put that product in which particular factory. And then from a cost perspective and a logistics of getting it here on time, you know, a lead time at the moment for us is up to 200 days. And then you've got the sample period. And if something's going through 10 rounds of samples, you might get 2 samples a month if you're lucky. If it's quick, if it's not busy. I mean, recently we just had our whole production taken off the line by a big brand. And so that delayed us by 12 weeks nearly in total. And
when was that due to drop?
That was due to drop in August, and we've only just dropped it in October.
Right.
And that was on a pre-order as well. It was still in the air when I launched it.
God.
And we had to air half of it in, half of it's still on a boat. So all the stock that was meant to be here wasn't arrived on time. And then that messes with all your other collections. So we have set collections dropping at set times. A lot of those being like influencer collaborations that we've done, which is a huge way of how I've grown the brand, by partnering with like-minded influencers. And
who's been the one that's had the biggest impact for you?
Scarlett. So Scarlett's World is an influencer that I started working with really, really early on into JLUX. She had maybe must have been 10,000 followers when I first started working with her. So I remember she did a video when she got to 10,000 where she like lifted this, I don't know whether it was rice or something up, but it was, and then it like showed 10K. If that's completely wrong, like it might be, but it was something like, she did something weird and I remember seeing it. But yeah, we've worked with her for a very long time. She's now got maybe 70, 90,000, something like that. But her engagement is like nothing else.
Really?
But it's so authentic. People love her because she's just her and she's just amazing. And she just shares, she's recently had, I say recently, George, her child, and she shares her mum life now. And it was just day to day of her, you know, being her and doing her life. And that's how she's grown her following. But it's so authentic. And yeah, she's been the biggest. We've done the most collections with her. We've been working with her for the longest. But for us, she's been, a huge part of the JLUX journey, and we wouldn't be where we are today without her, if I'm honest.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's good when you find someone who's really good and really passionate, real cheerleaders for the brand. It is amazing. And yeah, it's just the right way to build a brand, I think, personally. You know what I mean? You can tell that you live and breathe it. You know, you're not one of the regular, I don't know, I always say it on this podcast, but I know a lot of e-com bros who are just in it for the wrong reasons. They'll literally put out garbage products, you know what I mean?
Just for the money.
Just for the money, yeah. And like literally just sit there and tell everybody how amazing the brand is, and they don't actually live and breathe the brand. They don't take the problems themselves. Do you know what I mean? And I'm just like, it just doesn't feel right to me sometimes.
Every product that we bring out has to solve a problem. I was at a retreat, a business retreat recently, and they were like, oh, you know, fashion is so hard. You know, the profit margins are not that great. Why don't you do beauty? Why don't you do something like that? Or why don't you do something that's got, you know, better profit margins? And I was like, because I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem to solve. I've got no passion in that place. Why would I do that just for a bit of cash? I don't think that, for me, the brand is about solving a problem. It's not to generate the most profit. Yeah, obviously that helps generally. Of course, to keep the business alive, you need to generate profit. But it's about the community that we're building and the amount of women that we're truly helping every single day to feel confident, to feel empowered, to feel like they can go out and do a workout and feel confident in what they wear, but also then in themselves. Because there's no better feeling than putting on a piece of clothing and feeling incredible in that, and then off the back of that going to do something. It's like a feeling like no other, in my opinion. When you get a new gym set or workout set or fitness set, or even a new clothes that you want to wear when you're like going to the office or something like that, you feel amazing when you put it on and it feels great and it fits great. And you're like, yeah, you know, I feel good today, feeling my best self. And you then perform really well. And the amount of messages we've received where someone will message me and say, you know, I'll put something up about maybe a problem that we're having. And they say, please don't give up, because I can only find JLUX gym wear as the only activewear that I found that actually works for me. And it's incredible. And I wouldn't be able to do this without it. And so that is just the most incredible feeling. And I'm like, I can't give up because I'm helping so many of you.
And it's so much job satisfaction. Yeah, it's a good feeling. So what is next for the brand? What ideas have you got? Which way are you going to push it? Would you ever go into retail?
We are currently just going it. So we just secured our first wholesale order this week, actually, literally yesterday.
And can you say who it is with?
No, it's like a local business that are stocking JLUX locally, a leisure centre locally. But we're their only active brand, which is really, really nice. It's quite a big order for like their first, considering it's a fairly small place. So I'm excited about that. We're doing a show next week, a wholesale show, a sports and leisure. So excited to see where kind of wholesale goes for us. That's definitely on the cards. Although my kind of I love B2C is incredible and online is amazing, but there's definitely space for us in wholesale, but also in like pop-up activations.
Yeah, I was going to say, especially because it helps community building, actually getting any customers in a room and doing like, I don't know, a big workout together or something like that.
So we do a monthly event generally. So we've just done a dance fit event, which was absolutely amazing. 2 or 3 weeks ago now. We've got a Christmas customer sleepover coming, which I'm so excited about.
And where's that?
Very personal, in the Cotswolds actually.
Right.
There's only going to be 12 of us, so it's really, really small. It's for our VIP customers, and it's something a little bit different. And it brings, because when people come to JLUX events, they leave with friends. We did a huge run club event to raise money for a charity that I'm part of in the summer. And there was about 45 of us. We ran, and then we went for a roast after. But people came away and they made friends, and now they meet up outside of that. And that is the most incredible feeling, knowing that we were the ones that started the event, and now they're creating friends and they're together and meeting up. So we want people to be able to do that at our events. It's not just a case of, doing a workout and going home. We want you to be able to experience the community and get to know like-minded other people. Because it's hard to make friends when you get older, isn't it? So these are like types of ways that you can do that. And I feel like the community that we've got are so welcoming. We've got a VIP like WhatsApp group where we all chat. It's generally not about JLUX. It's normally just day-to-day chat. People will share loads of stuff, recommendations.
What's going on at Netflix? Yeah.
And it's amazing. And that's the real difference, is because we're not doing it because, yes, it's a marketing tactic, but we're doing it because we enjoy it, and it's really nice to get to know our customers and treat them. They support JLUX, so I want to be able to treat them to like these incredible experiences that we're trying to create, I guess.
No, 100%. You're talking my language. Yeah, it's amazing.
Plus, it's so enjoyable.
I know.
Like, it's amazing,
exactly.
isn't it? Like,
and your
being involved
customers
in that.
become your friends. That's what I've got so many like new mums, honestly. But loads of people are so helpful. Honestly, I love it. Okay, so we started this kind of tradition on the last podcast, and I was like, maybe we should keep that. I loved it. So we talked about one hero product that you're loving at the moment. It can be anything you want. If you could recommend like one hero product that you're loving at the moment, can be anything from anywhere that you think people should know about. What is it?
As in JLUX or any
could
product?
Be anything.
Oh my God. What am I loving at the moment?
I'll tell you what mine was last week. I think it was egg bites from Starbucks. Because I was like, oh my God, they're so good on the run. They're just a heavy protein. You know what I mean? Like
I always have them.
I
all the
love
time.
them. So that's like one of mine, if that gives you any inspiration.
The first thing that came to mind, right, and this is a product push, is the Free Soul Greens.
Right.
So I got given them at an event that I went to, and I was like, game changer. They taste really nice for a greens. I'm not a big supplement person. I take like a few because I take a lot of medication. But wow, like the taste is actually really nice. Unusual for like a greens product for it to taste nice. But two, I actually feel so much more energized since I've been taking them.
Oh, good.
So yeah, highly recommend if you're on the market for a greens or fancy trying it, then I really enjoy them.
Brilliant.
A bit random, but
yeah, that's good. That's absolutely brilliant. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming in and chatting today. I know you were at an event talking this afternoon, aren't you?
I know, yeah.
How do you find public speaking events like that?
Very difficult.
In front of, because this is an industry one as well, isn't it? It's in front of like founders, brand owners, e-com specialists, where sometimes questions are a bit more technical.
Yeah, I don't do too much of it because I am quite a nervous public speaker. I love doing podcasts because I feel like you're not really having to speak in front of people.
Yeah.
When I get up on stage, I get really anxious and shaky and I can't get my words out. So I just kind of I also think like nobody knows that. So just take a pause. Just let them think that you're thinking, which I probably am thinking shit.
I'm like that. I have to take like 4 beta blockers every time I do like public speaking. But they're just so good. They just really relax me, and then you can get your words out clearly without that like shaking your voice. Do you know what I mean?
I need them tonight.
I know. Well, good luck this afternoon. I know Kelly's down there. She'll give you a lot of whoops and cheers. So well done. And thanks for coming in to chat to us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been amazing. Really lovely to meet you as well.
Thank you.